big news, and this will be a quick introduction before we jump right in because we have Janka Don't Stop on the other side of this very screen. But we got reaction to the newest college football rankings, the new playoff predictions, conference championships that make no sense. Talk about always crazy conference, the ACC, and Lake Kiffin in the Bayou, Dolphins in the hunt, and what's really going on in the NFL right now. We missed you over Thanksgiving. We're back for another sideline. This episode, it's going to be a fun one. A lot of college sports. Me and Jock will be talking all about it next. Welcome, everybody, to Sidelines. Again, joined by Janka Don't Stop. I am Brandon Hernandez. This is, and for those who were there for yesterday's episode for Plug Talk Sports, which again, every single Monday at 10, it was up. Like Janka was telling me, it was an all-time discussion about the Hurricanes.
It was. I even got there late, but I got there just when they were just started talking about it. Oh man. It wasn't like everybody was disagreeing. It was just like, so like there are a lot of like theories on what could happen, on why do you think Miami would get in, or Notre Dame, or even Alabama. Ole Miss falling out, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, because I think one thing that actually shocked me about it, because again, I'm gonna go through the rankings 25 through 1 for the college football playoff specifically, because AP doesn't matter anymore at this point of the season, but
it never should matter, but
it should never matter. But definitely the Ole Miss one that shocked me the most. But I'm going to go real quick through 25 through 12. This will be a speed round. 25, James Madison potentially could be a group of 4 team that makes it depending on their conference championship. North Texas 24, Iowa 23 at 8-4, which is weird. Georgia Tech at 22, 21 Houston, 22 Tulane, Michigan at 19 after losing in the big house against Ohio State for the first time in like 4 or 5 years. Then on top of that, Arizona, Virginia could potentially be one of the top 5 conference champions. Who knows what happens with that one? We'll talk a little bit about that as well later on in this podcast. We're going to talk about bowl games and championships. Southern Cal right now at 16. Utah drops 2 spots to 15. I thought that was a huge shock. Vanderbilt stagnant at 14 after beating out Tennessee, winning out the state. Texas after a crazy upset, because I said for the past whole season, Texas A&M is going to go into the SEC championship game. They're going to be the team that represents the SEC. They were the best team in the conference, and they get kicked out of the conference championship on the last week of the regular season, rivalry week, losing to Texas. Texas moved to 13, and this is the real important bulk of what this podcast will be, talking about the potential playoff implications after looking at the ranking, the committee. We also have the committee chairs' reactions and explanations as well to talk about this. Let's go right into it, though. Number 12, Miami. Miami not moving an inch after a 38-7 victory on the road at Pittsburgh. And again, a game that for many people have recognized in Hurricanes history, usually the Canes would lose that type of game, like for random reasons.
I can back that up.
For random reasons. But this time around, they ended up winning it, but still a 10-2 Hurricanes team. And with the chaos theory, and I have all the numbers here, the odds of the Hurricanes to make the conference championship were about like 14, maybe even less than that. And for Duke, a lot of specific things had to happen. SMU had to lose. Virginia had to, it was a lot of things. But SMU losing to Cal and Pitt losing to Miami was what got a 7-5 Manny Diaz-led Duke squad to break a tiebreaker against teams that they never even played against throughout the entire ACC conference schedule.
Brandon,
tell me.
The fact that Duke didn't even play anybody that's ahead of them that was in the top 5 makes no sense on how they're even in this game. They're 7-5. The majority of those losses, again, came from the non-conference games. But in what way is that not used in the tiebreaker for the top teams in the ACC? Yeah. You got Miami, that's 10-2, bro. 10-2. The 2 losses coming to Louisville and coming to SMU. both teams were 8-4. I'm sorry, if you go 8-4 in a college season, that's pretty good.
Not bad.
That's pretty good. So I don't understand. Yeah, sure, you can count it as an unranked loss, but I don't know if it's a bad loss. Sure, Miami should have won those games. They were close games. One ended up losing in overtime, I think, to SMU. But I don't understand how this even works out. I told Daniel and Blake yesterday, if it would have been Louisville, SMU, Clemson, if any situation, anybody but Duke would have been a better pick.
And it would have made more sense.
I don't get it. What would motivate me to then schedule anybody but the trashiest teams in the ACC and get into the ACC championship game? What is stopping me from doing that next year if I'm Miami? Why would I schedule Notre Dame if it's not going to matter? We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I schedule Notre Dame? Why would I schedule the top teams in the ACC when all I can do is put Stanford, Virginia Tech, whoever you want to put at the bottom, Clemson. I think Dabo Swinney might be on his way out.
Yeah, North Carolina or something.
Yeah. Just do the whole stack of that. I don't care what anybody says. If you're a Miami hater, ACC hater, whatever you are, let me just do that. Ride that out the whole season. Go undefeated. Make the ACC championship game. Most likely win it because I think Miami has the best roster in the ACC.
Easy.
Win it, and then you get an automatic bid. Committee for the ACC, whoever's in charge, you're making the conference look like a joke, like an absolute joke. This is why nobody takes it seriously, and why we have hardly any teams that can get a bid into this. There's a chance that any ACC team doesn't make it in.
That's very true.
If Duke wins, there's a chance Duke doesn't even get in.
Most likely wouldn't get in because, again, we're talking about the highest top 5 ranked out of the Power 5, and that could be James Madison. Again, we teased about it. They came in at, 24th, 25th ranked. They could potentially be one of those teams. Now, as disgusting as that is, because technically James Madison, a group of 4 conference type of team. You know what I mean? Still, they could be in the playoffs over Miami Hurricanes. But yes, so again, I do have a few thoughts about that because the Canes, even though a lot of people are looking at this like, oh, this has killed them. Well, there is a path. But going quickly through the rankings, though, BYU stagnant at 11. The biggest move, I would have to say, that kind of saves Miami, and for 2 reasons. The Alabama swap with Notre Dame. Notre Dame at 10, dropping one, even though they basically had an easy competition against Stanford. But Bama winning a rivalry game, holding on their lead. According to the committee chair, talked about them having a 17-0 lead throughout the entire first half, able to survive on a road in a hostile environment in Jordan-Hare. That's the reason why they moved up one. Now, again, this is an Alabama team that's playing the SEC championship, and ahead of them, and these teams, you might as well say, are locks for the playoffs. Oklahoma 8, Texas A&M after the loss dropped to 7. Ole Miss moving up a spot to 6. And Oregon taking out 5, Texas Tech at 4, Georgia at 3, Indiana at 2, Ohio State undisputed number 1. But, Jonka, the 2 reasons that I say that the Hurricanes are still alive, and actually this is committee movement, it's a little bit better for the Hurricanes. A few weeks ago, committee chair, the one that talks on ESPN, I do apologize because I don't remember the guy that speaks for them.
He doesn't deserve to have his name said.
Doesn't even deserve to have his name out there or anyone on that committee, but all the athletic directors of whatever schools in the Big 12. But basically, he said that the reason why they haven't put Notre Dame and Miami in the same position is because of the losses that Notre Dame had against ranked opponents, one of them being Miami, and also them playing really good at the end of the year. And if they ever went to a situation where they're forced or they're neck and neck in the rankings, they would most likely look at that tiebreaker, which is, the one-on-one, Miami beating them one-on-one. And this situation, it's really good for the Hurricanes. And I put it in this perspective. Let's say that Alabama loses to Georgia in the SEC championship. And also for those who are saying that, Miami isn't playing at all, so it doesn't matter. Well, according to the committee chair that spoke earlier on ESPN, even the teams that are idle, not even playing for conference championships, and this means Notre Dame included, they could still move up and down in the rankings. They can re-rank in the last rankings this upcoming Sunday and still move up and down. So potentially teams could be pushed out of the playoffs and, again, pushed into the playoffs. And in this case, let's say Alabama loses against Georgia. Very likable. Let's say BYU, a one-loss BYU team, still very good and potentially could make the playoffs, loses to Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship.
Very possible.
They can move away from that 11th spot, and Miami can overlap. In that case, does a 3-loss Alabama team still make it? Do you also, at the same point, because you move Notre Dame up, you move Miami up, and at this point, that's when you can really look as a committee, neck and neck. They'll be right next to each other, maybe a 9-10, and maybe the Canes can overlap them, or even better yet, in a horrible stance, BYU leaves, Canes are at, let's say, 11, Notre Dame at 10 as of right now. If Alabama was at 10, this would probably never happen. But with Notre Dame right next to the Canes in the rankings, we can look head-to-head. We can look at Miami's faced 4 to 5 opponents similar to Notre Dame, has beaten those opponents by more points, has a better offensive overall ranking.
Except for Syracuse.
Except for Syracuse, no one's dropping 7 in a game. I mean, that was just – who knows even the starters were in the game by halftime. You know what I mean? For Syracuse. Yeah. That was again, that's a good program, hopefully for the future, but
I don't know why, but
I have no idea. Again, ACC. Either way, Hurricanes have a really good resume against Notre Dame, and the main thing the committee talked about is if they're forced to be neck and neck, that's when you will get to see it. But since it was a 9-ranked team, Notre Dame, to a 12-ranked Miami, there was no way to adjust that. Now at 9 and 10, you have that argument. So the Canes, if BYU and Alabama, and I say and because there's no or, if BYU and Alabama lose their conference championship, I would put out a guarantee the Hurricanes will be in that comparison and will be able to make the college football playoffs.
I think what we're also missing, which I kind of hinted at the beginning of the show, Lane Kiffin possibly not coaching the Ole Miss Rebels in this playoff, according to the committee's rule book, or I guess hypotheticals, or rules and what they follow. What they did to FSU a couple years ago, we could see another instance where, since they didn't have Jordan Travis, they didn't put him in the college football playoff.
Well, John, that's the thing that we saw an opposite of that. They moved up a
coach now. This is a coach with his staff and his players already entering the transfer portal and going to Virginia Tech. Shout out ACC.
Yep.
But this could be an instance where the committee has to really look at this situation. If Lane Kiffin is gonna not coach this team, the committee has to make the call. It's like, this is probably not going to be the same Ole Miss team that we've seen all year with Lane Kiffin as head coach. So there's a possibility they drop, right? Let's say they drop out. Everybody moves up 1. And if Alabama or BYU were to lose, and Miami was either just behind Notre Dame, that head-to-head should matter. And everything else you said, there shouldn't be a reason why Miami isn't ahead of Notre Dame.
Exactly.
This is straight facts. I don't care who you are. Anybody watching that's a Notre Dame fan, I don't care what you say. You lost to us head-to-head. All the like teams that we played against, we all won. And then 3 out of the 4 that we played, similar to your team, we beat them by more points, and we held them to less points than you did.
Yeah.
So just by 1, 2, 3 and math, we should be ahead of you. Now, I don't know if they teach math at Notre Dame because it's looking like you guys are idiots.
Yeah, it looks a little weird.
I'm going to say put it out there straight up like that. I'm calling you all out because you guys are backing up now. What happened 2017? Where were you all then? That's right. We blew you out again. Seems like you guys like to lose in Miami, and to Miami, by the way. So I'm just going to say that right there. But I'm going to be rooting for who I forget who is BYU playing this weekend?
Texas Tech. And again, a team that is a top 4, basically.
They just moved in over Oregon today, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, buddy, I'm going to be rooting for Texas Tech. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and again, if you're a Hurricanes fan, you got to go Texas Tech. You got to go for the Georgia Bulldogs, which that's kind of disgusting to me because I'm a Florida Gator. But John, that is an interesting point you make though, because again, this is a committee that moved up Ole Miss, despite Lane Kiffin leaving. And again, we'll talk about that next. But I think that's honestly, I think they're guaranteed. I don't think they're going to move 6 spots out of the top 10 or out of the playoff. I don't think they'll be able to do that to them, And again, we're talking about getting rid of an SEC team, which is hard for the committee, which is also another thing that I'm kind of worried about. Because if I'm the college football playoffs committee and I'm like in a situation, and similar to what happened with Florida State, where Florida State fans thought they're better than Bama, they should have already been in undefeated conference champion. But Bama's on the door. And again, I'm expecting the Georgia Bulldogs to beat the living crap out of Bama. I get that Bama went out of their way and beat out Georgia early in the regular season. A little bit difference in conference play for a championship.
Yeah.
But if it's a close game, and I don't like the idea of 3 losses being kind of like the deciding factor for you not making the playoffs, but Iowa is still ranked at 8-4. And again, that's like a team that's not even going to get close to a conference championship, let alone the playoffs. Yeah. But the fact that you still got teams that are ranked with 4 losses, or how Notre Dame was 0-2 and still was like a top 15, top 10 team. This is an eyeball committee. If Bama looks good, the eyeballs are probably be going towards their way. I'm telling you, that's my biggest fear right now about that.
And I think another thing that the committee, that they reluctantly refuse to admit and add this into their rules, is that Miami played Louisville and SMU, and that's at some point in this season they were ranked.
Yes.
So it's not like they're a terrible team that they don't deserve. They're not. Oh, they're ranked. If you're not ranked, you're crap. They're ranked, so they have a good team. They were both 8-4. So I don't know what the committee's looking at. Just because you're not ranked doesn't mean that an unranked loss is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But man, bro, I mean, I can see this is something that we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5 is Texas Tech in the SEC, right? No, that's Big 12.
Yep.
Yeah, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 teams from the SEC right now in the top 10. Which I do picture them, I can see this happening. This could be a shock to everybody, but I think Ole Miss, I think they're gonna drop them. I really do think they're gonna drop them.
Yeah, but that's such a hard drop.
Because then you're gonna cause a whole. What precedent are you setting to like 2 years ago when FSU lost Jordan Travis?
Well, that's different. We're talking about on the field talent getting dropped away.
All these players are already in the transfer portal. The staff is leaving with him.
Yeah, look, I put
the head coach makes a difference. You put Nick Saban right now on that team, and all of a sudden Nick Saban leaves. You're telling me that it's not going to make a difference?
I don't think it makes that big of a difference for the committee, because I don't think the committee now the Jordan Travis stuff. Because mind you, this happened when there were still games being played. They played poorly against Florida, barely escaped the swamp that year. They won the conference. It wasn't by like an insane margin, in my opinion, for what you would be as a playoff. And again, at that point of the whole playoff history, a 4 playoff team, So that was a little bit of a different circumstance. This is 12 teams. And again, Ole Miss, best record in program history since like the 1950s when it first all started. And you got, Lane Kiffin leaving? Sure. I get that. But on a 12-team playoff where Tulane could be making a spot, you shouldn't be dropping a team 6, 7 spots just out of the playoffs.
Okay, I can get that. I can get that. But here's a scenario. This is a crazy scenario, which it could possibly happen. If Alabama beats Georgia's at 3, how far does Georgia go down and how much does Alabama go up? And people are going to start going down because you got all the other games. Hey, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but that'll be a swap. That'll be a swap, though.
I think that'll be a swap?
Well, not a swap. I'm not going to be like Bama's at 3. No, I would be like, I think Oregon will be a top 4 team Texas Tech will take over the Georgia spot, but maybe
Wait,
Georgia goes to
Oregon in the top 4?
yeah, Oregon in top 4.
Isn't
They
Oregon
deserve to
Big
be
10?
top 4. Yeah,
Isn't the Big 10 game Ohio State, Indiana?
yeah. But again, if Georgia loses that game, then Texas Tech will move a spot. And again, if they win the Big 12, and then Oregon would just follow right behind them. And again, I think Oregon should have been a top 4 team. Their only loss was to number 1 Indiana by 10. You know what I mean? Like, I get people talking about the depth of the Ducks, but Oregon is a top 4 college football playoff team, in my opinion.
Again, I will say for the Oregon Ducks, I think their offensive coordinator just left
to UCLA.
To UCLA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's if I'm a UCLA, why would I let him coach? Why would I let him do that? Which is another situation I'm seeing. Like, I'm not gonna say that they're gonna be completely out of it, but if I'm the eye of the committee, and I'm seeing that Ole Miss and Oregon and whoever else is losing coordinators or head coaches to other teams, and they're possibly not going to be on the team in the playoffs, that could affect. Remember, this is all for money. Let's all be clear. This is all ran by money.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be in the eyes of the consumer, why would I want the consumer to not be at its peak? Like that's my point. If I just looking at it from the money perspective,
Yeah, but I just hate the idea of like saying to the Rebels, like, "Hey guys, best program, best season in program history. It does not matter, And the worst part about it, Jonka, too, because you know as best as anyone else, college football schedule is so like unrelentless. Like coaches can leave at any time. Commits can decommit at any time. There is no real off season at all at any time of college football. Like even week 1, you can have guys getting fired and replaced in interim coaches, guys getting pulled away from the transfer portal. Like it's insanity. So I don't like the idea of, disciplining teams of like, hey, if this happens, don't let your coach go or we'll take you out of the playoffs. And again, we're going to talk a little bit about that because there's a lot of interesting things about the Lane Kiffin thing. But I do want to talk about quickly because we talk about potentially Virginia being a playoff team. We talk about BYU losing a conference championship and having the Hurricanes a chance to make it. Let's go into these conference championships because this is honestly like, and again, playoff implications aside, insane matchups.
Except for the SEC.
Except for, Georgia, Bama. I kind of wanted Texas A&M and Ole Miss, but that didn't happen. But
yeah, that
happened.
Is Marcel Reed the quarterback for Texas A&M? Is he a senior, or is he like a sophomore?
He might be like a junior or senior, one of the two.
Right now,
because he probably has one more year of eligibility.
Sophomore.
Yeah. Oh, sophomore.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that young. Yeah.
He's got 2 more years of eligibility.
Yeah. So again, Texas A&M will be an issue with Elko next year. That's a guarantee. I get a Heisman candidate. In my opinion, like he could have, and maybe not this year because there's so many like different things with Mendoza or whatever. Mendoza. Yeah. He could be a Heisman candidate next year, in my opinion.
I think Jeremiah Smith might be Heisman next year. I don't know.
It's possible.
I think he might be out. I think he's going into the draft next year. So I think that might be a play.
His only chance, basically. His only chance for a Heisman. And again, for good reason. But speaking of which, let's just go quickly through not saying the games that don't matter, but the group of 4. Let's go Sun Belt Championship. James Madison ranked at 25. Troy unranked 8-4. Madison only 1-loss team. Going to be punching on that door if Duke was to win the ACC. Do you think James Madison able to get a conference championship and maybe even make it in the playoffs?
Brandon, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be rooting for any scenario that doesn't involve Duke winning the ACC championship game. For anybody that doesn't know, I don't root for this man called Danny Maez. For you guys that know, if you don't know, just look it up. But, man, anybody but Duke. You know what? Anybody but Duke, okay?
Anybody but Duke make it. And again, I would also argue if let's say Duke does win the ACC. Duke would still not make the playoffs. Still. Not even a ranked conference champion at all.
Yeah, I mean, if that situation does happen and Duke does win it and doesn't make the playoff, I just hope that makes the ACC committee open their eyes, change the rules, change how the tiebreaker rules work, or how whoever. I think at some point this might be crazy, but I think conference championships might get thrown away at some point because of how all this speculations happened, bro.
Nah.
I have a feeling. I just have a feeling. I don't know why, but it just seems like there's so much hypothetical going into how everybody's a guaranteed bid. Almost every, like, depending on your conference, is an automatic bid for the playoff. I think it should just be the top 12 teams in college football. Boom, you're in. I don't care.
But it's like divisions in the NFL though. Like, you win your division and it matters. I like that. I like the fact that like the rivalries in your conference, they mean something.
I agree with that. But the thing with the NFL is that even though you could have a win, the best record from your division, whoever has the best overall record in the division is the one that wins the division. It's not, you beat every team in let's say the AFC East, right?
Yeah.
You go 6-0. Oh, but you lose like 8-9 games for the rest of the other games in the season. Do you win the AFC East? No. It's because of your overall record. I think your overall record and who you play and how you play should be the determining factor, not if you just win a playoff.
Yeah, but also I would say as well, because Duke ACC record isn't even real because they lost to NC State earlier in the year, and they for some reason scheduling they had it as a non-conference game.
Bro, I'm telling you, Brandon, the ACC is a joke.
It's the always crazy conference. I'm telling you,
I would rather be in Conference USA, Sun Belt, anything but ACC. This is a joke. The refs are an absolute joke every year. If I'm a billionaire booster, I am putting in a bid to get Miami out of the ACC. It has to be done.
Where would they go, though?
10, Big 12, SEC, whatever you got to do it.
Yeah, but they never – look, the thing is, though, because, again, the Hurricanes – we always say it every single year. The Hurricanes are the best team in the ACC, but they never have won the ACC. That's the thing that I would put with the Hurricanes, where it's like if they were to go somewhere, where would they go? Like the Big 12? I
wouldn't mind anything but ACC.
I don't know. But, yeah, so, again, I'm guessing because, again, we're rooting for the Canes to make the playoffs. Let's go James Madison winning out the Sun Belt and then taking over a conference slot over any ACC team. North Texas and Tulane. I got the Tulane Green Wave. I think that honestly, John Summerall, also go Gators, new head coach. Great physical mindset defensively for his team. He has a job to do with that. North Texas is actually, funny enough, a 2.5 favorite in this one. This is going to be a shootout, in my opinion. This is going to be, if there's an over, take the over. It might be over 70. But I got Tulane in this one. And again.
Sorry, but did they say if John's, I think that's his name, John Summerall?
Yeah, he's going to be coaching throughout the entire postseason, and that includes bowl game if he doesn't go to the playoffs.
Wow. Don't you think that makes a difference if he wasn't there?
We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Look, either way, I got Tulane in this game. Jonathan, what are you thinking?
I got Tulane. I think Tulane could win it. Yeah.
Okay, so Tulane winning again. John Summerall undefeated in conference championships in the last 4 whatever years. Basically every single time he's there. Yeah. And then now we're getting to the big games. Now we're getting to BYU Texas Tech Big 12 championship. Texas Tech 12.5 point favorites over the Cougs. I got the Red Raiders holding on to the 4th seed for the playoffs. I got them winning that one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with that, and I think the defensive lineman, the edge, David Bailey, he's one of the top defensive edges in the coming draft. So be on the lookout for him. The guy's a stud. For anybody that does mock drafts, look out for him. So yeah, I think the Red Raiders are gonna get it done.
So Red Raiders getting it done. Now the SEC championship. I got the Dogs winning this one. Again, this is a SEC championship that's always played in Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta. So there will be a favorite crowd there. The Georgia Bulldogs, actually, funny enough, I thought it was kind of weird. Their rivalry game against Georgia Tech was played in Mercedes-Benz. It wasn't played in the Georgia Tech Stadium. That's, mind you, in the same city of Atlanta, because the campus is in Atlanta, which I hate when teams do that for neutral sites. I don't care if it's a big university. Like, if the Hurricanes play against FIU again in football, have the Hurricanes go over to the real University of Miami and play over there at Pitbull Stadium, Mr. Worldwide Stadium, okay? I'd rather have that happen. I'd rather have, like, Florida, Georgia play a home-and-a-home thing instead of a neutral site in Jacksonville for the best cocktail.
I don't even think there would be enough seats.
Who cares? Highest bidder gets in, and only Panther fans and only Georgia Tech fans get in. That's what I
live less than a mile away from that stadium, and I'm telling you right now, that is going to be the traffic is going to be horrendous. Please don't do that to me, Brandon.
Horrendous, but for the culture, we need to see it happen. I don't even care if it's like 50% Canes fans, even though I would love to see the Panthers have a sellout. Get these home-and-home schedules. I hate these neutral site games. Georgia Tech and Georgia should have been there for the Yellow Jackets. But in this case, again, SEC championship game in Atlanta. I got the Dogs winning it. Kirby Smart, too much for Kellen DeBoer, and Bama potentially pushed out of the playoffs.
And the same thing with the ACC. For some reason, every time in the ACC, it's always in I think North Carolina.
Well, yeah, that's where their headquarters are.
And I'm like, whoever's the top team, make that the damn site. Like, I don't understand, why does it always have to be that? Like, why does Miami? Look, think about it. If Miami is gonna make it, right? Like, I think it was back in 2017, they played Clemson in the Carolina.
In the Carolinas.
Like, come on, bro.
That's a death trap at that point.
Virginia, North Carolina, Clemson.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech. Like, guys, what are we doing? Get out of here, bro. This. If
you're the higher ranked team in the conference championship, host your conference championship. I mean, that's why I like doesn't Conference USA do that in the American, I think?
I don't know.
I don't know, but they should.
Yeah, they should. That's how it exactly should be.
Yeah. Now, the biggest game of the year, in my opinion, the Big Ten championship, 1 versus 2. This, honestly, 2 undefeated squads, Heisman candidates all around on every single position group you can find, whether that be Jamarius Smith on Ohio State, whether that be Mendoza at quarterback with Indiana. Maybe people even argue for that for the quarterback, young guy. Maybe not. Either way, this is an all-Sunday team on both sides. A lot of NFL talent, a lot of great talent from both sides. This is a high-pack action game. There's a South Florida kid from Columbus that went to Columbus High School in Mendoza that's at quarterback. Coach Sig, former James Madison head coach, went out of his way to rebuild a program in the heartland of the USA where college football, not founded, because everyone knows it was founded in New Jersey for some reason, but has been reborn in the Hoosiers. I got Indiana sneaking by Ryan Day and winning it. Now, again, does Ohio State move out of the top 4? Probably not. That's how big of a matchup this is. But I got Indiana winning the Big Ten.
Damn, you put me on the spot here, bro.
It's a hard one. And again, this is an Ohio State team that has not won the Big Ten in like years. As crazy as that sounds.
What makes this hard for me is that I don't think Ohio State's offense is as potent as they were last year with Will Howard and then Ibuka, Jeremiah, Quinshon Judkins, Travian Henderson. They were stacked.
Yeah, and a better running game too.
Way better. So this year, I've noticed that they've been really slow on the offensive side. If you can give them a good defensive stand, you can. But at the same time, I look at Indiana, right, and I look at that Penn State game, which they won that with a crazy catch, with a tiptoe at the end of the end zone, bro.
In the seconds of
Penn State, who was basically lost the entire season,
but
a top team most of the year,
but has made a bowl game though.
Somehow, some way.
Somehow.
with a win over FIU, but I don't even know if that should count. But sure, it's just that's the thing. Sometimes I don't think the offense is as good, which I think Indiana's defense could get at them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think Ohio State's defense with Caleb Downs and I think Styles, his name, Sonny Styles, can also do some damage on Mendoza. Man, this game is going to be real tight, bro. But I think oh my god, I don't know what to say.
You gotta choose, man. You gotta choose. Again, I'm going with the hometown. I'm a little bit of a homer with this one. I'm not gonna lie, but I like Indiana's offense. They've been taking care of business. I mean, the battle for the bucket they had against Purdue wasn't even close. Half of the competition they go up against aren't even close. And this is a team that beat Oregon, undefeated.
I will say, me being a Kane fan and Miami guy, and I'm going to root for Indiana. I am not going to root for Ohio State, me being a Kane fan, again, for everybody that knows. I don't trust Julian Sayin in the big moments. I don't think he's had a big game yet. I think Indiana has been playing crazy tough football lately. They've come out of some tight games, and I think you need that experience heading into the playoffs where if you really need something to happen, you can pull it off. Mendoza has that edge already. Julian Saint has not shown it to me. He doesn't look impressive just in my eyes. I think Indiana wins, and if Indiana's defense could pressure Julian Sayin, this might be a blowout.
Ooh. I thought you were going to go the other way. I thought you were going to be like, I don't trust going against Ohio State, but you're saying might be a blowout.
The only reason I say that is because if Julian Sayin starts having, some bad throws, maybe a pick, we haven't seen him get over that hump of, okay, let me shake this off. Boom. Let me get back into it. Does he have that mentality? Does he have the ability to get back up and keep going? I haven't seen it yet. So just for that fact alone, I'm going Indiana, period.
Okay, we like to see that. So Indiana, we do both agree on that, which is also a very rare thing in this show. But I'm pretty sure we're going to both agree on this next one. Last championship conference game of really the week. ACC championship, Virginia Duke, 1-2-3. Virginia. Okay. Yeah, so we can blow past that. But let's go into something that has really caught the college football world for many weeks. The Lane Kiffin saga. For those who've been living under a rock, basically. Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss head coach, has been there for 6 years, coaching them to not only a rivalry week victory over Mississippi State in dominating fashion, winning the Egg Bowl, but 11-1 record. Best in program history for the Rebels, who have been in the SEC for God knows how long, has been around for Southern culture, for the football, for, maybe the dinosaurs, no. Who knows how long. But Lane Kiffin doing historic things, but the Gators try to poach him away. And then Brian Kelly gets fired, and then LSU matching an offer to try to poach him away. Crazy. And for some reason, the athletic director, or for those who want to say, the corporal or whatever of Ole Miss athletics, was giving him an ultimatum, which this is one of my biggest talking points for this topic of making the decision before the playoffs, which in my honest, it's insanity. Because Brian Kelly gets fired mid-season. You got to focus on having this team going towards the playoffs, and you want to answer out of Lane in the middle of all that? That's insane. That's a travesty, and you can't force a guy to do that. But, because, John, I know you want to speak something on that. I do want to add in some extra things, some extra flair to it. Because for those who don't know, Lane Kiffin does take the LSU job. He gets shouted out from the airport, gets applauded going off the airport on the tarmac in Baton Rouge, and basically, talked to Coach Saban, talked to Pete Carroll, mentors for him throughout his coaching career. And in reality, I guess the main thing he said to ESPN on his way out of Ole Miss, I had to take the chance. You have to take that chance. That's what he said. He prayed on it. $98 million worth of prayer, but he ended up going and making a family decision. So he is now new head coach of Ole Miss. Ole Miss deciding to keep a majority of their staff, including, as Jonka has mentioned previously in this podcast, their offensive coordinator, despite the OC going to old LSU after the conclusion of the playoffs. Jonka, I saw on the tip of your tongue when I made that comment about forcing Lane Kiffin to make a decision before the playoffs. Do you agree or disagree of, again, with me saying kind of messed up?
I would have preferred that they had given him the ultimatum mid-season. Just like instead of firing Brian Kelly at mid-season, I would have told him like, hey, listen, you're gonna have to give me a decision within the next 2 weeks. Let's say like by week 6 or week 7, you give me a decision because no, this is why I say this.
Yeah.
Not because of the playoffs, but because National Signing Day, early signing day, is tomorrow, the 3rd to the 5th. And if you're gonna be the coach for the team, we all know how important getting these recruits in is for building a team and a roster for next season. If Lane Kiffin decided, like he just decided to go, let's say he decides to leave, and you said, oh, before the playoff, he leaves. Damn, they have literally no, Ole Miss has literally no time to find a true head coach.
Right.
With a new system, new culture, new everything, and sign his new players. That's the thing now.
It's tough. Yeah.
If you would have done that week 6, week 7,
yeah,
that's when you should have done it. I understand they went 11-1. They went 11-1. But if you knew he was considering, like, you know what, let's wait till the end, you would have to. I think if I was the AD, I would have told him, hey, listen, we can't wait that long because what if you decide to leave and you basically screw over our future head coach? And when it comes to signing day and potential future recruits, that kind of hinders our ability to get new players coming in for next season and the transfer portal. And let's say we get eliminated round 1, if they were to make the playoff. Damn, like what do we do now? Like now we have to wait for the next signing period to sign these guys. Oh, was this guy supposed to be a Lane Kiffin guy or is he the new guy? Like you understand what I'm saying? Like,
you like the specific players you bring in, are they for which program? The new head coach's program or the old coach's program?
And I think that's one of the things that happened when Manny Diaz got fired, and then Mario Cristobal came in with such little time to put in a roster, and the Miami roster literally was playing for Manny Diaz, not Mario Cristobal. Mario Cristobal was trying to instill a new culture, a winning culture, and I think we all saw how Manny Diaz team before Mario Cristobal came in, how crap it was. Yeah. I think it makes a difference. And I think that's why they wanted to give him an ultimatum. It's like, hey, listen, you either give us a decision now or just leave. I think that's what they pretty much told him. It was like, and LSU offered him $25 million annually for the roster. You can't turn that down. I'm sorry.
It's kind of disgusting. Yeah, it is a little disgusting. Like that's a lot.
And where'd you rather go, Baton Rouge or Ole Miss?
Yeah, but that's also because I'm telling you though, and this is why I kind of hate on like, and again, maybe this is also like other sports because like different organizations have different cultures, and whether that's collegiate, professionally, whatever. The fact that he built something in Ole Miss, and this isn't like when he was when Tennessee on a year and left, like it's nothing like that. He built like real foundation, like resources at his fingertips. The whole state of Mississippi really to bask in recruiting wise, and again, 11-1 playoff team. LSU, and I don't care if you have the whole state of Louisiana and the governor of the damn state of Louisiana going all for you. LSU is not going to be a playoff team after 1 year. They might not even be a playoff team after 3 years. It's going to take some time for them to jump back on the wagon in the SEC especially and really compete like that. Even if Lane, let's say that like Chambers or whatever player comes from Ole Miss and transfers over, it's not going to be the same team. It's not going to be the same assistant coaches. Like, he's not taking the entire staff with him from Mississippi. I like the idea of you build something and you stick through it. Like, the reason why we'll never really see like a team like FIU get on the national scale of making a or even UCF, like Scott Froster, whatever the hell, had a perfect building block, undefeated championship season, because we just put quotations on the championship. And then he leaves to Nebraska and he loses his job like that. And now he's back over UCF where he has to rebuild another good program. You know, I hate that
situation. Recently, we just talked about it yesterday with Alex Golish, the former head coach for USF, is now the new head coach for Auburn, which I think is an excellent hire for Auburn.
It is.
But damn, I was a really big fan. I think Brandon knows, and everybody knows that the whole staff on our team knows that I'm high on Alex Golish, bro. He could have easily was taking USF into a big name. Like, he was really putting with the Nick Saban Alabama, he was taking them to the nail, and he was creating a really good team. But it's sad to see him leave what he built in Tampa, and now he's headed to the SEC, which is good for him. Bigger school, more money, more notoriety, more everything. But damn, like what you say, bro, it's like you built something so great, and you could see you're going higher and higher.
Yeah. And mind you, a team that could really win a championship this year. And not like it's going to take Ole Miss. And again, I get the whole thing of like, Ole Miss is going to lose at some point. Ole Miss could never win a champ. You can never win at Ole Miss. This really could have been the year Ole Miss could have squashed out those talks, squashed out the rumors, and all the whatever everyone's mind is about the Rebels. But Lane leaves, and that just puts, this kind of dark cloud on the program where could you really bring a championship to Mississippi? Could you really win with an SEC team that's not Alabama or Georgia? And that's the question for a lot of the SEC teams right now.
Like, the whole reason, like I said a couple minutes ago about Lane Kiffin and why he was the timing of the signing day and recruits in the transfer portal, I think that's why LSU is not letting him coach in the playoffs. I think it's LSU
more?
I think, but think about it. If I'm LSU and I'm trying to rebuild a whole team and a whole program with a whole new head coach coming from another SEC school, I'm going to need you to start right now. Like, early signing period, get these transfer portal guys, do your homework, make your staff, you have the money, do whatever you need to get everything set for next season, and you have almost a whole year to get ready. You can't be wasting time. And how would it look if LSU were to let him play out the playoffs and Ole Miss makes a crazy run, historic run, wins the national championship? Damn. And Lane Kiffin's like, damn, I really got to leave this, bro? I just won the national championship. Why would I leave now? And it's I'm going to pull Manny Diaz. I'm going to back out my contract.
Yeah. Yeah, which is also insane because when the Hurricanes offered him, he immediately backed up. I still remember that day. It was like, what? He was at Temple, right? I think. He was at Temple, about to do a press conference, and left that same plane. But, yeah, it's definitely a messed up deal, and I think it's going to take time for LSU. And before we even move on to the next and last topic, I do want to mention one thing about this whole thing, and I want your thoughts about this, because there was reports earlier today, I believe it was from On3, about the Florida side of things in this whole Lane Kiffin saga. Because for those who realize that Lane Kiffin, again, Steve Spurrier fan since childhood, has coached and lived in Florida before with FAU, loves the state, obviously has high regards for Florida. There was conversation and reports saying that Lane Kiffin and the athletic director, Scott Strickland of the University of Florida, were not seeing each other on the same page. Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss having everything to his hands, kind of like free of charge, doing whatever. Scott Strickland, according to reports, was going to be more like limiting Lane in some sense, that they couldn't see eye to eye in that. So Lane Kiffin's team, according to reports, was saying that Lane didn't like that, the idea of Scott Strickland meddling with his program. And also Scott Strickland didn't like the idea of giving Lane Kiffin all that power on top of that. And that's why Florida decided to part ways in their, going out of their way for Lane Kiffin. Again, Lane Kiffin, let's not get it mixed up. He was really, at a time, the only option for the Florida Gators. He was the option for the Florida Gators. But the moment that they decided to view their point towards John Summerall with Tulane, they got within 24 hours, basically. Lane Kiffin maybe could have been a Florida Gator, and a lot of people are arguing about this on Gators Twitter, if Scott Strickland wasn't involved. I want your thoughts on this because obviously LSU, we saw the governor of the state get involved in firing the AD and Brian Kelly. How bad is Scott Strickland? I mean, am I more insane of thinking like you went out of your way to a program that has got the whole state involved because of one guy in Scott Strickland, or let's say he stays at Ole Miss and it was like, well, if I stay in Ole Miss, I use all my resources, but LSU, I got every single person involved in my program at this point. I can be fired anytime just by a switch of a button from a politician, So I want your thoughts on this, John. You think that it's going to be, because again, the Florida piece is interesting, but I also think Lane going out of his way to LSU and maybe to more limitation.
Man, that's a lot to take in. Because damn, you're the Florida guy, but shoot, I don't know if I forgot his name. What do you say? John Smurl, whatever is it?
Oh,
what's his name again?
Gators head coach, John Smurl, or whatever.
Yeah. For John, I don't know if he's the right guy. I hope he proves me wrong because I think Florida deserves a good head coach, offensive head coach. I think prefer. What?
I think he's the right guy. I think people are losing their mind. This is a defensive head coach, and the best thing that he said out of all the first quotes that come out, defensive coach. He's more of a defensive coach. I think he was like a linebacker at Kentucky when he used to play, had a neck injury that kind of like caused him to go into more of a coaching career. But he said, and I quote, the Gators are going to put up a lot of points. They're going to get an offensive coordinator. Billy Napier never went out of his way to get offensive coordinator. Never went out of his way to say, like, the Gators are going to have an explosive offense. I like a coach that is like, I'm going to bring in some guys, but at the same time, guys are going to be a good fit. Guys are not going to be a good fit. It's not going to be a buddy-buddy system. So we're going to get the good guys in there. So I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good hire. I like him from Tulane.
I think he could be one of those coaches that like went in under the radar that nobody thought of to hire, and he ended up being a home run hitter.
Yeah.
Now, I need for the Lane Kiffin part, I would need you to broaden up how it all went down, because you're telling me the AD for Florida told him that you're not going to have as much control as you did in Ole Miss, and you can't have everything the way you had it over there. And so you're going to be a little bit more limited than you were. But if you go to LSU, since he went to LSU, he was going to be even more limited than he would have been in Florida.
Well, that's my theory. According to reports, he was going to be limited with Scott Strickland more in charge, because again, he's the AD compared to what happened with Ole Miss. And LSU, and there's reports are saying that he's getting everything he wants at LSU, and maybe that's true. But we literally saw Brian Kelly get fired by a politician. Like, I don't believe that. I mean, I really don't believe that LSU is going to give him everything.
I wouldn't be shocked if LSU gave him everything, just because of how bad of a job Brian Kelly did. Bro, man, that's a very touchy situation, because just imagine, like, what do you even say if Lane Kiffin first year wins the SEC?
First year?
I'm just imagine, bro. You know how crazy that would be? It's not like
Oh,
LSU's. It's not like LSU's team is terrible. I just think their offense was absolute dog water, and they could hardly score any points. Nussmeier fell off. He was from like pick 1 in the draft to like a 5th-round pick.
yeah, and people had LSU in a national championship conversation, which
Yeah, bro, they were like
it's just yeah. I think the whole implosion of the LSU program over the year. I think it's more of a realization that it's kind of there's specific teams in the SEC that you can see are making that climb, and some that are just they're just a name. Like Vanderbilt, we all saw from last year, they were making that climb. You know, we all saw Tennessee as a team that wasn't going to be in the conversation. You know, I didn't see a climb from LSU going into the next year.
What would you say are the top 5 teams for next year? What do you just think before all these bowl games?
Top 5 next year. So obviously we're going Indiana and Ohio State. Obviously,
no SEC. My bad. SEC.
Oh, SEC. Oh, this even makes it harder. So
knowing everything that's happened so far.
Yeah, knowing everything that's happened so far, very disgusting mindset. I got Georgia and Bama, obviously top 5.
Okay.
I will slide in Texas because Arch will be back. That Texas team has been playing much better. We expected Texas to play.
I agree.
John Mateer, with Mateer gone, I don't know what the recruiting class for the Sooners is going to look like. Because the Sooners last year, without John Mateer, a good quarterback, horrible offense. Terrible.
I can tell you right now.
But I think the Sooners are going to drop. I think you'll probably see some motion going out of Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt will be involved in the mix. And the biggest sleeping team, and I would probably say the sleeping giant, because this will be, and again, a little biased, right? A little biased. Mark Stoops is not there anymore with Kentucky. Arkansas is going through their own rebuild. They're not even going to get close.
Alex Golesh with Auburn is now there. That could be a play.
You know what? I do like the quarterback up next for them.
I forgot his name.
Golesh is going to bring in Byron Brown.
Yes.
I think he'll bring in Brown.
No, I think he's a senior. Isn't he?
No, he's young, dude. He's young.
Byron Brown is not a no, wait, hold up.
I'm pretty sure he's going to transfer over at some point. But
I wouldn't keep him.
Yeah. I would go out of my way and say
he's a senior, so he can't.
He's not registered or nothing? Oh, that sucks. Well, there goes the Byron Brown hypotheticals for Heisman for next year.
I mean, USF, they had 5 quarterbacks on the roster. So maybe one of them transfers.
Yeah. But I would say Texas A&M will be the 5th one, though.
Okay, yes.
And the Gators, I want the Gators to be more competitive. I think they'll get to a 6-7 game type of winning season. So they'll be bowl eligible. But top 5 in the SEC, we're talking about Georgia, Bama, Vanderbilt, in my opinion, Texas A&M, and Texas.
Vanderbilt without Pavia?
They flipped a good recruit earlier today.
Oh, I saw from Georgia, right?
Yeah, from Georgia. So the program is, again, as I said previously, you see these programs that they building up year by year, and some of them you see them taking a flat line. Vanderbilt is not flatlining anytime soon right now.
Be honest. Be truly honest.
Okay.
For Florida next year, do you think John Summerall or John, whatever his name is, is going to keep DJ Lagway as the starting quarterback?
Absolutely. DJ Lagway, and I'll tell you this.
God.
He's going to have a real offensive coordinator this time, okay? He's a raw talent sophomore guy that just finished off his sophomore year. If you look at the recruiting for Florida, there's a lot of obvious quarterbacks, 5-star guys that are coming in. But for the Gators, DJ Lagway, this is a guy that people will put a program on. I wouldn't want to transfer DJ. I wouldn't want DJ, and I doubt DJ even transfers on his own because he said he's a Gator, and he was literally at Summerall's press conference for his introductory, if that means anything. But yeah, I just don't see, because especially for the Tulane guys that might even follow him, like the quarterback is not even going to even get close to the starting position.
Man, I mean, you guys are going to get Dallas Wilson back. Is Jaden Ball gonna stay? Is he a senior or is he?
No, he is a junior. Should be back because Summerall did talk about having Jaden Ball for next year.
He's not gonna.
And that's probably the biggest thing. Look, if Jaden Ball is not on that team next year, and I can't yell to my TV, "Run the ball," I will be so depressed. I'll be so depressed watching Gators football without Jaden Ball.
What would you want to see from the Gators change from what we saw with Billy Napier? What would you want to see a change? Obviously, the offense.
A faster offense. Yeah.
But anything specific, anything unique for the team that you think you would want to see for next year with this new head coach?
I would probably say more West Coast stuff. Like I want to see more spread. I want to see this offense really fly, especially the offensive weapons. And, I'll even go a step further. The RPO, underused. There's no option. Your quarterback is over 220 pounds and not in a fat way. And, the guy probably has, 5%, better athleticism than anybody else on the field. Oh, I wouldn't say body fat. He's kind of a big dude. Not fat, but, he's not Ronaldo. Too, he is quick. But that's what I'm saying, though. You don't use him at all for RPO. And why? So I think more RPO, spread out the offense a little bit, maybe something like what we see from Tennessee. But that offense will start clicking, too, I think, with a good offensive coordinator.
I think if you guys can get a good slot receiver, and then you pair it with Vernell Brown, who's a stud, and Dallas Wilson on each side, and then that's a good tight end, and you'd run the RPO and you could air it out here and then and improve that O-line a little bit more, bro, I think you guys could do some real damage, bro. Dallas Wilson and Vernell Brown are legit guys, bro.
And what I would say, too, this will be a good schedule for a first-year head coach. And that's why I feel bad for Billy Napier, because if I told you, you got to go against number 3 and then number 4 and then number 2, and all within the first 5 weeks, you would have been fired by November. That was a bad mix for him. So I feel bad. Shout out to Billy Napier. I have no hard feelings as a Gator fan. It's really hard to hate on him. Besides the fact that you didn't want an offensive coordinator, shout out Billy Napier. Hope everything goes well. Maybe goes back to the Sun Belt. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know what was his problem with not having an offensive coordinator, because obviously you could tell you weren't scoring. So I don't know. You were basically the blame for that. So I'm not gonna.
And mind you, wide receivers coach at Bama in 2015, I think. So
makes no sense to me. I don't
makes
get
no
it.
sense. Makes no sense. But I do want to end off this podcast with some NFL news. Miami Dolphins on a 3-game winning streak. The Pats are obviously on a much bigger winning streak after Monday Night Football against the Giants.
The best winning streak, baby. Let's run it.
It's ridiculous. And Drake May could be an MVP.
He is MVP. He is the MVP.
But I do want to talk quickly about the Dolphins before we exit out, winning it 21-17 over the New Orleans Saints. Ugly game. Super ugly game. But they were able to get it out. Defense was the biggest thing. Ryan Fitzpatrick with a pick six, 2-point conversion pick six. Super rare in the NFL. Bradley Chubb showed up. Pass rush showed up. And again, this is not an impressive Saints team. I mean, Tyler Shogue or whatever his name is. I can't even pronounce the last name right. Shog?
Look, Shuff or Shuck or whatever.
There's no C or K in there, but
he's so unimportant that he's saying his last name doesn't even matter.
Yeah, who knows who even knows if they get a quarterback in the upcoming draft. Either way, Dolphins on a winning streak, and somehow at 5-7, they've won 5 of the last 6 games and are in the hunt. The hunt.
That's crazy.
And the funniest thing about it, because there was I think it was Joe Shad for the Palm Beach Post or whatever, a tweet about the Dolphins winning that game. They went from a minus 1% chance of making the playoffs to a minus 1% chance of making the playoffs. But we're in the hunt somehow, some way. And I saw a math thing of the Bills would have to lose like 3 specific games. The Chiefs would have to lose 3 specific games. And the Dolphins would have to win out to be 10-7. Jonka, I want your thoughts on this. Is the hunt too much right now for the Dolphins? And why is it so many teams in the hunt in the AFC?
Let me start by saying about this game against the Saints. I said it 2 weeks ago before when it was you, me, and Blake on the podcast that not to overlook the Saints. What I say, they're not a good team, but they got some decent players that can make some plays. Chris Olave is the guy.
He is.
I mean, and Alvin Kamara didn't even play. Who knows? If he would have played, that game could have been completely different. But for the Dolphins, I'm going to pull up the rest of their schedule right here. Here we go. Let's see what they got. Let's see if it's out of the picture. They play the Jets this weekend at New York, which is a cold game. That might be a problem. New York just came off a big win against Atlanta. And then they go on to play the Steelers at Steelers. So another cold game. Buddy, it would be a really impressive win streak if you can pull that off. If you can pull off a win in 2 cold weather games in Jets and Steelers, you would end up playing probably most likely the Joe Burrow Bengals at home, Tampa Bay at home, and then finish off the season against my Patriots at New England, which, depending on how my team does for the rest of the year, coming off this bye against the Bills, I think we won't even have to play our starters because we'll just have the first seed locked down and the AFC East, so we wouldn't have to play. But I'm not gonna say it's out of the realm, but it's going to be very tough to see just based off the opponents that you play and where you play them. I can see you like this could be a trap game. This Jets game could be an easy trap game.
Can it though?
The Jets defense. Listen, I understand it's the Jets, but remember it's also an AFC East rival, and these rivalry games are literally unpredictable. No matter how much you think a Dolphins-Patriots game is going to be a blowout, even if we had Randy Moss and Tom Brady playing, somehow the game will be close. That's just how it goes.
I think,
and it's at.
I'm telling you, Jonka, and I hate to interrupt, but I think we blew at Atlanta by more than 30 points, and the Jets can barely even get wins. Need Nick Folk to be able to push you off the cross. I think they beat out the Jets. Steelers are obviously taking a slump down. Now, mind you, Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, that game has changed entirely on our schedule because Joe Burrow looked insanely good against the Ravens on Thanksgiving. Like, I'm not saying they're going to win the division or nothing like that. Their season's probably over by now. But that team is definitely a threat, I would say.
And then the Steelers, I just saw today they acquired Adam Thielen, another receiver, experienced one at that.
Also,
I'm just saying it's gonna be
that is true. But also, I do want to, because it's kind of outlandish, but didn't he retire? Like, I swear there was a graphic of him retiring as a Minnesota Viking.
Right?
Yeah, like he retired and then he got claimed by Pittsburgh, which makes no sense.
Maybe this is his final season and after he was retiring. Maybe you read it wrong. I don't know. I think I saw something just like what you were talking about. I think I saw exactly what you.
Yeah, like he retired and they just claim him. And also, if you go anywhere for your last season, why Pittsburgh? That's not a guarantee playoff team anyway.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just some extra money, here and there. You get some catches. If you don't get any catches, you still make some decent money.
True.
And plus, like, Calvin Austin is not the answer. Like, DK has been whatever. Like
Yeah.
John Smith has not. Him and Aaron Rodgers have not looked anywhere near compatible.
No.
And Aaron Rodgers calling out his receivers in the press conference after the game against the Bills. I think was it the Bills this weekend?
Well, whoever it is, that's not new. It could have been anybody. He could have called out receivers.
I mean, the only thing that's good right now with that team is probably the running game with Jalen Warren. That's literally the only thing that's good that's happening for them. But overall, I think that game will be interesting just because it will be a Minkah Fitzpatrick and a Jonnu Smith reunion.
Oh yeah, back and forth.
The storyline is going to be great for that game, especially in the cold. How will Tua handle it? Because Tua had two ugly interceptions this past Sunday. You can't do that against the Jets, and you can't do that against the Steelers at the enemy territory. So, especially in the cold. I'm gonna keep saying the cold because we just don't.
You can say the cold all you want, man. The Hurricanes have broken that curse against Pitt. Another Miami team is not gonna lose in the state of Pennsylvania in the cold. I don't think so. I don't think the Steelers have a good chance Monday night. And again, that's just me being not like hopeful, but knowing that A-Rod is having issues with the offense, and that's not a high-scoring offense at the moment.
I can agree with that. I'm not gonna hate on that take.
Okay, yeah. So I do want to because we are a little bit over time, but Jonka, you're saying that Dolphins not hypothetically out, but again, are we doing too much playing it in the Hunt graphic for them?
I think so. I think at the moment, if they can get over the next 2 games, and then they have 2 more home games after that, I think then yes, you would have to really like look at the Dolphins and be with a crazy turnaround for the season. If you can get over the Jets and the Steelers and come out with a 5-game win streak, coming back home to play the Joe Burrow Bengals, bro, that would be really nice to see, bro. I'm not even kidding. That would be nice for you guys.
It'll be insane to see.
Now it would be a tough one.
It would be tough. I also will put this out there. Somehow, the Buffalo Bills are the last wild card team in the AFC. That's how insane the AFC is right now. Like, who can win it? God knows. Like, the Colts look terrible. The Pats are on top.
Who do they play this weekend?
Who are you talking about? Colts?
The Bills.
Oh.
They play the Bengals this weekend.
Oh.
Ooh. And guess who comes off a bye? Guess who comes off a bye in 2 weeks?
All right, calm down.
And we play the Bills after that. We play the Bills coming off that bye. Oh my God, we could be glory.
If the Dolphins keep winning these games, we might be rooting for the Pats against the Bills again.
What's the division? What's the standing right now for the division?
Oh, it's probably way out of whack. Like Bills 8 wins, Pats obviously with
Bills,
10.
Patriots 11-2.
Like it's
Bills 8-4. Dolphins 5-7. Jets are 3-9. Somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can win the next 2, you'll go 7-7. And if the Bills were to probably lose to the Bengals this weekend, 8-5, and then they lose to the 2, let's say the Patriots again at New England, that'll be 8-6. You'll be just 1 game behind. I mean, you would have to beat the Bengals and have that tiebreaker over the Bills to then go over the Bills. Bro, that would be crazy.
Insane.
That would be nuts. I would have to, bro, honestly, I'll send you $20 if that happens. Live. This is live. I'll send you $20.
Are you making a bet on my behalf?
Yeah, I will Venmo, Cash App, whatever, Zelle, whatever you need.
Look, I don't think that's going to happen as much as I'm hopeful for it, but I'll take $20. I'll take $20. I'm not going to say the catchphrase for that, but I'll take $20. So, but
capital G.
No G. But I'm gonna end the podcast here. It was a great episode. A lot of Lane stuff, a lot of college football stuff. Again, every single Tuesday, my schedule's a little bit out of whack, but Tuesday nights we probably will have this slated ready to go because college football committee is going to be talking Sunday after the college conference championship game. So that's going to be crazy. We talk about that on Tuesday, a little about the playoff next. And of course, the Dolphins always going to be doing something, always going to be in the hunt, but time will tell. Until next week, we thank you again for joining the sidelines. We'll see you guys real soon.
Thank you guys.